Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's fun video is all about planting your own herb garden. Whether you're planting these herbs indoors or outdoors, I'll show you my best methods to maintain them for years to come. As you can see, we have two different types of herbs here. The first is already packaged in its own container, and the second is pre-packaged in these plastic containers that you find in your grocery store. I actually found both types at my local H Mart, and they were so inexpensive, guys. Like, these packaged herbs were about $2.50, and these container herbs were under $3. So the first thing we need to do is repot these container herbs. You just want to remove them from their containers. Oh no guys, this parsley is not doing so hot. I mean, the fact that it was packaged in this cellophane wrap, I couldn't see the roots, but it looks like the root has a little bit of rotting. I mean, we'll dispose what we can and I'll see whether or not I can salvage it. But if I can't, then we'll just get rid of the parsley altogether and we just won't plant this. So we'll be repotting the rosemary, the basil, and the mint. So you want to head to your local nursery or garden center or even supermarket like I have to look for your herbs. I found these at my local H Mart and they were really inexpensive. I mean, these little container herbs cost about $3. What you want to look for is a mature plant with full green leaves, no brown leaves, no yellowing leaves, and no rotted soil. So herbs need a pot with really good drainage. As you can see, these already have drainage in them, except the pot is still a little bit small. If you want your herbs to grow larger, they just need to be repotted in a larger pot. I found this package of 12 plastic pots from Daiso. There's 12 of them in a package, guys, so that is such a bargain for $1.50. You'll see that this new pot is just a tiny bit larger than the pot that they came in. But I do want to repot this in a larger pot just so that the herb has room to grow. The first thing you need to do is add soil to the new pot. Anytime you're repotting any plants or herbs that you're actually going to consume or eat, you want to use organic soil. Organic soil with natural ingredients, since, I mean, clearly you'll be ingesting this. You want to fill it about 1/3 of the way with soil and make a little hole. Make sure you pick off all of the dead leaves, the decaying leaves or the rotted ones, so your new plant can thrive. You want to loosen up the root ball just a tad so the roots have somewhere to grow. Pack the soil tightly so that the herb doesn't move, but not too tightly because you still want the plant to breathe. Make sure that you place the plant in water right when you get home. As you can see, the leaves are a little bit wilted. As soon as I give it a little spritz of water, you'll see it come right back to life. As long as I leave it in a window with a lot of bright indirect sunlight, it'll be revived in no time at all. I also picked up these little tin cans at Daiso for $1.50 each, and I'll just be plopping my little plastic bins right in them. It just makes it a little bit more decorative and super cute. Now, mint grows like weeds. If you wanted to repot this in a larger container, it will grow like crazy. However, just for the sake of containing them in our small indoor herb garden, we're just gonna keep them in the same types of pots. We're now moving on to that rotted parsley. I'm gonna open this up to see if there's anything I can salvage of it. If there is, that's great. I'm gonna try to replant them, and if not, I'll just throw this back in my garden, guys. You can see that the soil is super wet and moist. We might have some root rot in here. You'll know it because if you pull the parsley out and it comes out really easily, then it most likely has been rotted. It's not horrible, but I will throw away some of the yellow leaves. Those have either received too much water or not enough. But in this case, you can see how moist the soil is. I'm gonna say that's way too much water. So I actually think I am going to repot this with a little bit of love and a lot of new bright light. Let's see how it goes. Don't worry that this is wilted. We're just gonna spritz it with some water, place it in a window with a lot of bright light, and see if we can revive these babies. So now we're moving on to our packaged herbs. I found this Thai basil in the grocery section and I've always wanted to plant it. I've never done this before, guys. We're actually doing an experiment and I actually thought it was like a really cool idea since they already came with their little root balls. We'll be repotting this herb in the exact same fashion and see how it goes. If you're placing your herbs indoors, you need to put them in a window that receives a lot of natural sunlight. 6 to 8 hours is usually optimum, but a lot of these herbs can also thrive outdoors. Seeing as how some of our plants are a little bit wilted, I'll be placing them outdoors for a couple of days to revive them, and then moving them back indoors next to a window that receives a lot of nice bright sunlight. You'll see that these herbs are very mature. Take, for example, this mint here. Anytime you see a lot of little new sprouts, that means it's time to prune them. By pruning the herbs regularly, you'll encourage a lot more growth, and soon you'll have so many herbs you won't even know what to do with it. Pruning is really simple. All you want to do is pinch off the top of the stem about 2 or 3 inches down, leaving some leaves. Don't be afraid of pinching too much back. Sooner than you know it, the new leaves will grow out and you'll have more herbs in no time at all. I remember I used to grow herbs in my garden and it got to the point where they were growing so rapidly, like I literally had nothing to do with it. I couldn't, cook enough dishes in time, and then I ended up throwing so much away and I felt like it was so wasteful. So now I'm taking a more mindful approach to my herb garden and really just planting the herbs that I know I'm going to be using regularly. And now you have a handful of mint to enjoy in tonight's cocktail. So you want to just pinch off the tip right here. You see where there's new growth? I know a lot of the times you might think, why would you pinch that off when it's already growing out? Now that the soil is wet, it's working overtime to produce new leaves. But if you leave these leaves on top and you don't continually pinch them, it's gonna work overtime to send moisture to those leaves that are already mature. What you wanna do is keep pinching them to promote new growth. If I pinch this back even more, new leaves are actually gonna grow out. So I encourage you to experiment with how much you take off each time and see how much new growth there is. If you don't use the herbs right away, all you need to do is put them in Tupperware and just refrigerate them for a few days. It's been a couple of days since we planted these herbs. As you can see, some look great still and some don't look so hot. Of the 7 herbs that we planted, sage, basil, rosemary, and mint is actually doing pretty well. But the ones that didn't survive are the flimsier ones. like cilantro, parsley, and Thai basil. So the mint, although the leaves are a little bit droopy, you can see that it just needs a little bit of watering and a little bit more light. By the end of this week, it should be thriving once again. Rosemary is a little bit sturdier, and you can see that some of the leaves are brown and some of the leaves on the bottom are dead. All you need to do is pick some of these out and water as usual. The basil is actually looking very good. As you can see, we've pruned a lot of this down, but in a couple of weeks, they'll sprout new leaves and be thriving. Sage is one of the sturdier plants that we had. You'll remember that we replanted this from a packet of sage. It's actually doing pretty well. And with some regular pruning, you'll see new leaves sprout in a couple of weeks. So of the herbs that we planted, you'll see the parsley is like completely shriveled, but you'll remember that there was a lot of root rot, which means the root was just so wet that I think that's why the parsley didn't survive. The cilantro, it was flimsy to begin with, and we tried to repot this, but it's not doing so well either. And the Thai basil just died completely. I picked these new herbs up at our local nursery, so now we have a brand new cilantro and a brand new oregano. These herbs are a little bit larger, so you'll want to repot them immediately and find a much larger pot so they can grow and flourish. We'll be repeating the same steps to repot the new herbs with organic potting mix. We'll be filling the new pot up about 2/3 of the way. And you can see that this soil is pretty wet. Because the soil is already very moist, you'll just place this right in that hole that you made and pack the potting mix right around it. Remember that all your herbs need a different amount of water and light. So if you can't remember, I would just stick that little tag back in so you don't forget. Remember that these herbs need ample drainage. Make sure you purchase a pot with a built-in liner for the excess moisture to drip, or if you have a pot that doesn't have a built-in liner, just purchase an extra tray or saucer to catch drips down below. As you can see, we tried a few different methods of planting these herbs. We had packaged herbs from the grocery store, live plants from the grocery store as well, and then we brought brand new plants in from the nursery. Of the 3 types, I would say that packaged herbs, even with their root ball intact, is an absolute no-go. Our packaged sage did survive, but as you can see, it's a little bit of a sturdier and tougher plant, so it was able to withstand a couple of different environments. For some of the flimsier herbs like oregano and cilantro, I would recommend getting that straight from the nursery and repotting that right away. Rosemary is pretty indestructible, just like mint. So no matter which method you get them, from the grocery store or from the nursery, as long as you pot them right away, they'll be good to go. You can see that the basil was heavily pruned from the beginning plant, but in a couple of weeks, it's going to be revived and thriving like it was once before. I hope you guys got some really cool tips on how to plant your indoor or outdoor garden. If you have any questions on the different techniques of planting these herbs, please drop them in the comments below. I've been doing a couple of these plant videos now, and they're really filmed on the fly. I pretty much just figure out the new herbs that I want to plant or the indoor plants that I want to add to my own bungalow. But if you guys have any ideas on what types of plants you'd like to see next, please drop them in the comments below as well. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.